even as the expert and professional that we both are, we're also humans navigating life. And I genuinely thought I could do it all. And I have learned that there's just too many irons in the fire for me. And so for me to give my best to my work, including this new book, I have to really focus my energy there and give it my all. And sadly, that means pulling back from the podcast. And I have so much faith in Susan and in this incredible show that she's built that I feel like I'm leaving you in really beautiful hands. And I'm not leaving you today. This is the last episode that Susan and I will be recording together, but we have some really exciting, awesome interviews and episodes that we have recorded.
Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics, raw, real, relatable podcast. We're your hosts, Susan Robbins, certified epigenetic human performance coach,
and Kate King, licensed psychotherapist, board-certified art therapist, and award-winning author. Together, we bring two perspectives, two styles, and one shared passion for epigenetics.
On this podcast, we delve into topics such as environment, nutrition, fitness, mindset, social dynamics, and trauma as they pertain to epigenetic expression in a way that's relatable to everyone.
We recognize that everyone's needs are unique. There are no one-size-fits-all solutions for your mind, body, and heart. The true magic lies within you.
So if you're ready to create a radiant life through epigenetics and reclaim your authentic self, then buckle up. Here we go. Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics, raw, real, relatable podcast. We are your co-hosts. I'm Susan Robbins here with the lovely
Kate King.
And today is going to be a little mixed bag of announcements here with the podcast. I'm going to turn it over to Kate because there's some things that have come down the pipeline and there's going to be some changes in the podcast. But I'm going to let Kate announce all of this, and it's all going to be really good. So, Kate, back to you.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Hope everyone out there is having a great day. So Susan and I have something to share with you. We're really excited for this podcast. We both love it so much. And the next season of this podcast, you will be returning to Susan as your singular co-host, which she has expertly done for a year before bringing me on to the show, and then so generously invited me to join her about 6 months ago. And our partnership on this podcast has been so much fun. I've really enjoyed the incredible guests that we've brought to you, the really cool, inspiring conversations Susan and I have had, and really getting to know a lot of you through your comments and your feedback. It's just been such an incredible ride, and I'm so grateful for all of it. So the reason that I won't be co-hosting anymore will be because I have dun, 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 like, here's my big announcement. I have a brand new book that I am starting to release right now. Actually, it's available everywhere online for pre-order as of this week, and the official publication date is in January. And the book is called Mend or Move On. It's a guide to either healing or leaving toxic relationships. Susan's going to interview me about the book in a little bit so you can get a sense for if this is a good fit for you or for someone you know. But before then, I just really want to express how much I have enjoyed this and how sad it is to make this transition away from the podcast. Susan and I are constantly talking about authenticity and alignment and being real and raw, and a lot of that comes down to modeling in real life, because even as the expert and professional that we both are, we're also humans navigating life. And I genuinely thought I could do it all. And I have learned that there's just too many irons in the fire for me. And so for me to give my best to my work, including this new book, I have to really focus my energy there and give it my all. And sadly, that means pulling back from the podcast. And I have so much faith in Susan and in this incredible show that she's built that I feel like I'm leaving you in really beautiful hands. And I'm not leaving you today. This is the last episode that Susan and I will be recording together, but we have some really exciting, awesome interviews and episodes that we have recorded. We did so many, Susan. We were like on fire.
Oh my God.
So I don't know if you want to maybe share some of the podcasts we have.
We had some, I think we did some 6 in a week between these, and then we started the minis, and it is podcasting. It really takes, it's a commitment. It's a commitment of time. It's a commitment of energy. And this has been my baby, my vision from the start was to build this and really bring information to people. And it's a lot of work. And if you have something else that's in the fire that really takes away from it, it makes it really hard. And because it really is a commitment to bring this, to put this out every day. It's like you're doing something around this, whether it's looking for guests or whatever. So it does take a lot of work. And you really you filled the bill really well there. So I do appreciate the commitment that you've had over these past 6 months. Really, 6 months of the podcast. I guess, well, we started recording back like in March for it to go live in April. So I think it was like end of February, March. So it's been quite a while. So thank you for the dedication to making this, because we communicated quite often about which way do we want this to go, trying to find different guests. You always found the ones that were more mind centered, and I had the other ones, and so we were able to bring a really good combination of people in. And so upcoming, Kate and I have regulars and minis up through most of November, if not totally through November. And we have got Eric Balkovich coming on again, Dr. Eric Balkovich. And it's an even better interview this time. He really wanted to talk about the difference between more of a medical based system as opposed to a true functional medicine approach with health. We've got Dr. Chris Winter and Dr. Kirk Parsley. They're both sleep specialists. They're both very different takes on things. Kate will be missing from Kirk because she had knee surgery that day. So that one was a solo one for me. But that's going to be a 2-week sleep series. She and I have one together coming up on friendship. And then we have a bunch of minis. So there's lots still to come. If you've enjoyed listening to Kate, keep listening because it's still here. It's not going away. We didn't want to do an abrupt, hey, so this is the last one, just so you know. So that's not the way we wanted to do it. We figure give you time to settle with it as we have, and then continue forward. So that's what's coming up. And then I've got some people I've already started interviewing solo wise. Got Stephen Wright on histamine. Today, I'm actually interviewing Dr. Jill Carnahan. So there's some good stuff coming up, you guys. And the podcast, the quality is not going to get any less. I'm just going to continue what I started here with this vision to really bring as much information that's applicable to the everyday person trying to make their life better through epigenetics. So that being said, I say we move from this part. Right? That's our announcement as far as that goes. So you'll see that change. And then let's talk about your book. So give us the 411. What's the title? Because I just saw right before I got on, I saw you had a post. I can't remember if it was the email. I think it was on like Instagram. And it was the announcement of the book out today. And I was like, wow, this couldn't be better timing. Give us the info on this book.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been such a labor of love. Anytime you're in a publishing experience, it's like a 1 to 2 year process, which is insane. Like you go to Barnes and Noble and you pick up a book and you don't realize how many years have gone into making it into the thing you hold in your hand. So to be able to announce it today was really exciting. And I did that intentionally before we recorded because I wanted to really start to build some excitement and some energy around the book for our conversation. And especially for listeners who want to check it out, it is available now for pre-order. You won't actually receive your copy until January when the official publication date is, but you can save your book. You can get a price lock on it at Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, the Johns Hopkins website. The book is being published by Johns Hopkins University Press, and so that's a really exciting partnership to have kinda the books back and to have it have a real academic focus while also being applicable to everyday average readers who are navigating tough relationships. So, yes, you're raising your hand.
I figured just so you know, I had a question before you went on
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
to something else. Audiobook, because again, so many people are interested in audiobook. How long will it take until the audiobook would it be available as well?
So, this is something tricky about publishing. Audiobooks are not always included in contracts. And similar to my last book, The Radiant Life Project, this contract doesn't include an audiobook format. So, with Radiant Life, about a year after the book came out, it then received an audiobook contract. And so, audiobooks are like an entirely different book proposal, a whole different contract. And sometimes it just comes after the fact. So, at this point, my book Mend or Move On does not have an audiobook format. It's coming out in paperback, hardcover, and ebook. And hopefully the audiobook will soon come because I agree with you. That is such a valuable format for our fast-paced hustle culture. I think most people love to be reading while they're washing their dishes or doing their hiking or in the car. So I hope that I will have that offer for you soon. And if so, I will make posts about it. So please follow my newsletter, my social media, everywhere that you see my stuff, and I'll let you know if and when the audiobook gets contributed.
Perfect, perfect. Then we can promote that. Awesome. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Back to what's it about?
All right.
Give us
So
the
the
info.
book is called Mend or Move On: A Guide to Healing or Leaving Toxic Relationships. And this is not just about romantic partnerships, though it can include that. This is about that toxic friend that you've had for so long, and every time you see them it drains your energy and you don't know what to do about it. Or that toxic family member who every time you're with them you walk away feeling battered and beaten and abused and you don't know what to do with that. Maybe there's a group in your family and you feel like you're the scapegoat, or you've gained some awareness through pop culture and pop psychology that you've had emotionally immature parents. And so you've been navigating dysfunctional dynamics in your family system for your whole life. You might have a boss or a coworker with really dysfunctional undercurrents and you don't know how to break free from it. And the reason why I've called the book Mend or Move On is because this is not a book about slaughtering all of your relationships that aren't working. It's also not a book about saving every relationship. It's about this really intricate tipping point that people arrive at when a relationship doesn't feel good for a prolonged period of time and they don't know how to make it better. They don't know what to do. And so sometimes people will freeze and they will self abandon, or they will tolerate more than they should. They won't have boundaries. They won't have tough conversations. They won't go to therapy. They don't know what to do. And so the dynamic either stays the same or it can spiral downward and get really bad. So the book is about identifying if you're at that. I call it the mend or move on choice point. It's like a fork in the road. This is identifying, first of all, what is going on in this dynamic that's not working for you? And is it in fact toxic, or is it maybe just misaligned? Have you outgrown this friendship? Have you grown apart in your relationship? What is going on that might not be a pathological problem? Like these days, there are so many pop psychology buzzwords like narcissism and
Oh God.
no contact and cutting people off. And it's become this very overpopularized pathological world out there where people who are not therapists are using psychotherapeutic terms to just blame people when it doesn't feel good. And in some cases, that's what's happening. It's just the season for that relationship has expired, or maybe you're at a point where it's time to grow together and build a new chapter together. But in other situations, the relationship is toxic. It is abusive. There are narcissistic undercurrents. And so in the book, I talk about the difference so that you can get clear on really how big a problem this is. or what needs to be done about it, and what aspects might be your responsibility in terms of co-creating a dynamic that doesn't work for you versus a relationship where you've truly done everything you can and the other person's not willing to change or you're not willing to tolerate the dynamic anymore. So it's this complicated breakdown of when relationships are off kilter, how to either balance them back out or respectfully and with dignity for all involved say goodbye.
So do you have a system in there? Not a system, but what's the word I want to use? Maybe even a list of things, a checklist to go through and say, is this relationship working for me? Is it something that I should try to salvage? Or is it toxic AF? It's time to move on. Is
Mhm.
that part of the book?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, I provide definitions for what is toxic, what is a toxic relationship. And they're definitions both from dictionaries and also from my clinical database of my own experience. And something that makes this book valuable, in my opinion, as a clinician, is that it is coming from a licensed psychotherapist, which is a trustworthy source. It's a credible source for talking about relationships and dysfunction. Whereas so many books out there are written by people who are unqualified, who aren't trained, who do not have the credentials or the experience to really be talking about this stuff. So this book is coming from that place of really coming from a qualified person. And so everything that I talk about in there is research backed, it's studied, it comes from an academic and scientific research perspective. I share case studies, I talk about certain experiences from my own life. And so it's this really well-rounded way of getting a sense of where your relationship falls in this greater continuum of what happens in human relationships on a large scale. So, yes, I have the definitions. I also have the 7 traps of toxic relationships, which I won't share today. You'll have to go check those out, mostly because I can't remember them off the top of my head on it. But they're really good, they're in there. It's so funny, it's been so long since I wrote the book, I'm like, "What's in this book?" But the 7 traps are things that if you are in a toxic relationship, you'll be going through those and you're like, "Yep, uh-huh, that happened. Oh, yeah. Yep, that happened. Yes, they were like that." So that is a really validating, affirming, confirming chapter for people who are in really toxic, abusive relationships and maybe in denial or maybe confused because they may have been gaslit or manipulated so deeply that they don't realize how unhealthy their relationship really is. So that's a really good kind of checklist type of chapter. And then it goes into navigating just other aspects of the ones that maybe aren't so toxic, but just are misaligned. And what happens when there's more than the two of you? If this is a marriage and you have children, how does this ripple out to them? Or if this is a breakup within a friend group, how does it affect the rest of the friends? If this is a professional partnership, how does it trickle out into your coworkers and your network? Things like that. So the book really goes off into a bunch of different rabbit holes that are all affected in different fractals when relationships come to this tipping point.
And then, the one thing that stuck out to me is when he said, this is coming from somebody qualified, not just somebody saying, I'm going to write a book. And that to me was like a therapist or working with a professional as opposed to ChatGPT. Right?
Right.
Where everybody's getting onto ChatGPT. And even psychologically, they're they're looking for like psych diagnoses. How do I work with this? And they're using ChatGPT, which people, it's not real. It's not a person. This is like all AI to help. How do I go about this relationship? Right? Not taking human dynamics into account because it's not human. So I think you coming from that clinical perspective of having worked with this in that setting with real people, that's the difference you bring into it as opposed to somebody who hasn't done that, but just has their ideas on things.
Totally, totally. And the other thing too is the personal experiences that I share in there, because I do have family estrangement in my experience. I've also gone through wonky dynamics with friends. I've got enough experience that I can speak to this from the personal as well. I only share personal experiences. This is like my rule for writing I only share personal experiences that are healed. I don't put anything out there that I am still feeling really messy about because I don't think that you can really gain the gems of knowledge and experience and wisdom until you've moved through the layers of the experience, until it doesn't carry that same charge for you anymore. So, everything I write about here, I have spent significant decades of time thoroughly understanding from multiple vantage points so that I'm not embodied in a victim consciousness or a blaming stance where I say, I have no accountability. This is really an honest take on what can happen in real life, in real relationships, and how you can either move through it or move beyond it. And so I've had family estrangements. I've also had repair with family who I was estranged from. And so I've experienced both sides of that. Same thing with different friends. And then in my clinical experience, I have worked with hundreds of people who are at this mend or move on choice point, and they're like, what do I do with this relationship that's causing me so much suffering? And so I have seen this in every shade and every color, personally, professionally, clinically. I've sourced so much research. This book has like over 100 citations, so it is really research based. You can trust that this is nervous system, brain science, relational attachment science. There's so much in here that's coming from grounded empirical backing.
Love it. And sometimes things may seem toxic because we're just in different places.
Mhm.
It was really interesting. Like I've said, my whole life has really been changing so much over these past several months, especially, and a whole new relationship with God for me. And I think there's a lot of people moving that way, but it's brought some people back into my life. And one of the craziest, and I was really close friends with a gal a couple of years ago. And we were another 145 activator. Like we hung out together all the time. We were always together. And she said, "You should come to church with me." I'm like, "No, I'm not there. I have my faith. I'm good to do my energy stuff." And she was in a very different place, just out of a relationship with a narcissist. Had been engaged. Everything was just bad. And I decided, like millions of people did, or hundreds of thousands of people over the last couple of weeks, week ago, just say, "I'm gonna go to church today." And I went in, and it's this big church, and it was just by people starting to fill in, and I look over, and she's at the end of the row. And so I immediately got up and went over, and she gives me a hug, and she goes, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're here. I've been thinking about you." And we live 5 minutes apart. And at that time, a couple of years ago, we just literally just stopped talking one day. And it's 2 years almost to the day. We just stopped talking and never discussed anything. It was just a complete cut. And I was like, it felt better to me at the time. I guess it felt better to her. And I looked down, and she said, Do you want to go somewhere after this and talk?" So 3.5 hours we talked. And then we went hiking the next day and everything. And we hung out again on Sunday and went to church on Sunday. And I said, it's so funny how when you're not in the same place as somebody, it really can become toxic. But it doesn't mean that you can't, like you're saying, how you with like estranged family. I'm estranged from uh, birth people, but that will never mend. It's never gonna mend. But like you said, and then sometimes you heal. Like for some reason, it just comes back. And I'm seeing this with some friendships. With another one who reached out to me that has blown me off for 3 months, and I said, "I don't want this from a friendship. I want a clear back and forth, a commitment." And I think, do you put this in the book also, that being authentic with what you expect in a relationship, and because people talk about, "This is what I expect in a romantic relationship," but when it comes to familial or friendship, it's like, why do we cower away and say, "Oh, I'm afraid to bring that up with my friend." And to say, "I would love to connect, but if you're wanting me just for my energy, I needed yours a couple of months ago. But if you're willing to come together on that and work at it, because friendships take work just like romantic relationships do. You have to be present." That's what I'm finding. So these were just with you talking about this, it's just really funny how a lot of this has fallen into my realm with people coming back that I was like, done. So maybe it's a mentor, move on at this time kind of thing. Is that, do you address that at all? Or just am I off base there?
You're not off base. I think there are seasons for friendship sometimes, or also for family too, where it's almost the line that connects you just gets really thin for a while before it grows again. I have one friend who I'm thinking of who I've been friends with for gosh, like almost 25 years. And then when we both started to have our babies and life just got crazy, we didn't see each other for a long time. We didn't talk. We didn't hate each other or have bad blood. We just drifted apart. And then in the last, I don't know, 3, 4 years, we've really started to come back together and make intentional effort. We have a little more space for each other now. And so yeah, it doesn't always mean that relationships end because they're bad or toxic or wrong. Sometimes they just end because they're not so convenient anymore. The energy required to maintain it isn't there. People are at their capacity. If someone is caring for, say, like an aging parent or a newborn baby, if someone's navigating their own health challenge, I speak about a friend in the book who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and was leaning on me for so much help that I, like, literally was collapsing under the pressure. I couldn't. It didn't feel right for me to be that singular person in her life, and it actually destroyed our relationship. There was no way to step that friendship down to, "I can be here for you sometimes, but I cannot be here for you at this capacity. I cannot be your husband, your partner in this." And it blew it up because that's what she needed, and I couldn't be it. So in that case, I have only love for that person. I have no idea how she feels about me, but I know that for my own integrity, I couldn't continue to show up for her at the level that she needed without self-abandoning myself and my own life to the point where it would start to take a toll on my health or on me. Right. So I hope that there's a stage in the future where we can become friends again, where we can talk about what happened. And I keep an open door for that. But there also has to be a coming together from both sides and a sense of reciprocity and willingness, which is what I have experienced in the relationships that have repaired, is that we've both done our work and we've reached a threshold where we can connect on a new level and rebuild a new chapter together because there is no going back. You can't go back to an old relationship that has expired or died. You have to build something new. And of course, there might be wounds that you have to work through. There might be new boundaries to set. There might be different expectations to voice, but that doesn't mean you can't repair. The only thing that's responsible for the repair is the willingness and effort of both people. And I have certainly had relationships where that willingness has not been there, and there was nothing to do but move on. Because otherwise, if you stay in that sort of liminal space waiting for the other person to change and they're not willing to and they don't want to, it does start to take a toll. That's where the epigenetics come into play. That's where inflammation and disease and cancer eats you away because you're self-abandoning and you're straining in this relationship. And that's taking something from you.
Yeah, when you're living out of your integrity or the things that feel good to you, because we know that the social aspect is huge when it comes to epigenetic expression. And when you're not getting that social, that love, that connection filled, it really it creates this toxicity and oxidative stress. And that creates disease or disease in the body. And you brought up two things. One thing you brought up was the intentional effort. I wrote that down as you said that. And I think, again, that's the biggest part is saying, I'm committed to this friendship, this relationship, this work relationship, romantic friend. It does familial, anything. Because just because you're related doesn't mean that you're friends with your sibling, right? That you have that type of a relationship with them. With some siblings, they're like, I never talk to my brother or sister. They're just there. I see them on a holiday. So that's that type of a relationship where it's just one that exists because you are family, your blood, but there's no actual working relationship.
Mhm.
And so I think that intentional effort, and I think that's where I was saying, like, things that I personally have experienced, especially recently. And even you and I, when we've had our differences, intentional effort and being honest. Let's stop the bullshit. Don't blow smoke up. I'm raw and real right here. Don't blow smoke up people's asses to try to save a relationship because you're afraid to be by yourself and do some reflection or think that there's so much history here. You know what? History is exactly that. It's history, it's in the past. Where are things now? And where do I want things to go? Be in that moment. And to do that, you have to be raw, real, and authentic, not just with the other person, but with yourself. And how does this work for me? How does this work for you? And the cool thing was the one friend who had left me, she left me this voice message. I just really need your energy. I'd love to be around you and all. And and the activator in me, I start typing. I immediately start typing and I'm going, now I'm gonna sit with this. I need to think on this and process and think, how do I want to show up in this? Do I want to say, I haven't heard from you in 3 months. I reached out twice but I didn't. I sat and I thought about it. And you come from that, again, that place of love and respect with yourself and the other person. And I just said, it was just like, this is what I'm looking for in a friendship. And if you can meet that, great. And if you can't, that's okay too. I'll value the time that I had with you. And she first came back and said, all I can say is I'm sorry. That's all I can say. And I went back again and I said, this is voice test texting now. And I just said, hey, I don't want an apology. I didn't expect an apology. I'm just letting you know what I need in a friendship, what I'm looking for at this point in a friendship. And then it was the most beautiful message she came back with on her end of, I need to do better. This is where I fall off and I want to do better. And I do want to work with this. So again, that's intentional effort as opposed to, oh, okay, I'll do whatever you want. No, smoke and mirror bullshit. Let's be honest and real. And when you put that out there with vulnerability of, I matter, you matter too. And maybe it's, I matter and I need this. And like you said with your friend, because that's a lot of caretaking there, mentally, physically, with someone like you dealt with, for you to say, and I think kudos there because you think stage 4 cancer, they're going to be gone and I couldn't live with myself. So I've got to put myself through this and suck it up. For you to say, this is crushing me. I don't have any more I can possibly give. It's taking everything from me. That takes a lot to be honest in a situation like that, where it's like, they're stage 4. If they're gone, they might be gone forever. Will I regret that? But I don't think you can ever regret being honest with yourself and somebody else.
And that
Let me
doesn't mean
see
that
that way.
you won't feel sad about it too. Like,
Ah.
it's important to acknowledge that you can hold both to be true at the same time. There can be a level of, gosh, I wish it would have gone differently. I wish that I could be this person or that you had more people in your life and you didn't have to lean on me this heavily. Like, it's sad. And I need to do this for my own health. I'm trying to communicate with kindness, honesty, and respect what it is that I need to be able to be healthy in this friendship. And if you can't hear me, that's where my responsibility ends and yours begins. Because the piece that you spoke to, Susan, before was really accountability for somebody to say, this is my work. This is where I fall off. This is where my edge is. And to be able to really take ownership of the thing that's yours in the dynamic, that's accountability. And that right there is such a healing agent, both in a person's self and in their relationship dynamic. So if you pair accountability with the willingness to change and to grow and to learn new things, to make amends, to do action that's in alignment with what the relationship needs, that's where repair happens. And without accountability, I don't think it can happen because the person is in denial, they're in blame, they're deflecting, they might be aggressive. Those are not healing agents. So there's a level of humility involved with accountability and also vulnerability where you say, gosh, maybe I messed up there, or, ooh, maybe there's more for me to learn, or I didn't realize that I'm showing up that way. Thanks for telling me. And those
Mhm.
are the seeds that can grow something beautiful.
Yeah, we have to look at the dark before we get to the light. I think there's a lot of people that don't wanna look at the dark and say, "Oh my gosh, like, I don't like this side," or "Why am I doing this? Why do I behave this way?" And I think when we look at that and we can still find love for ourselves in those places, and that's the beauty of it, finding love for that darkness to bring out the light from that. So in the book, so if we go back to that, because we've been all of us, you know me, how I roll. So we have the how to identify whether it's a toxic relationship or it's just one that might be past a season or something. Then are there tips in there on how to proceed moving forward, whether it's I'm choosing to opt out or I'm choosing to stay in it with intentional effort.
So the integrity that was important for me to keep within this book was the mend and the move on. So I provide a trajectory for both paths throughout the entire book. Whereas there are chapters that are about reflection and remembering kind of what's always been the dynamic, what got us here. There are chapters about what's present, what are we dealing with, how bad is it? And then there are chapters about like where's this going? Is this looking like it's going to become healthy? Is this spiraling downward? Who's this affecting? Where's this coming from? There's epigenetics in there about ancestral family trauma, lineage patterns, things that may not even be yours that you're carrying in your epigenetics and in your behaviors and patterns. So throughout all of these different facets, I'm always remaining true to here's the trajectory for mend and here's the trajectory for move on. Both are viable, both are possible. It's unique to every situation. And so the reader can find their way on either path throughout the whole book.
Love it. Anything else you want to talk about with the book, or do you want to give the link out to where they can pre-purchase this book?
Yes, and both. I think there's one more thing I'd like to speak to that feels just really pertinent with today's media climate and social media undercurrent. It's so funny because writing this book over the past 2 years, I've seen so much waves changing around how people feel about no contact. No contact is like the big hashtag, right? And
Good question. Is that ghosting?
it's no more talking, no more seeing, we are not in a relationship anymore. It can look like ghosting or it can happen with a relationship where you just say, "We're done." But no contact would be like maybe a mother and a daughter who are not in any contact whatsoever. Various people will do low contact where maybe we don't talk very much, but I'll still go to Thanksgiving and I'll keep my distance, but it's really minimal. And no contact, cut off, estrangement, that has been a really big one in social media, especially. So in the beginning, there was a lot of empowerment for cut those family members off. Don't be with anyone who's hurting you. Get out, get out. And then more recently, there's been this wave of people are wrongly being encouraged to cut off family members where there could be repair. And therapists are encouraging these cutoffs. And there's all these loud voices on social media who are encouraging people to cut off everybody. And so
Why?
I want to speak to that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because why? That doesn't. I don't get that.
Yeah, so this is a hill I will die on. That's how much I believe in what I'm say. So, I do not believe that a person who is in a healthy, loving, nurturing relationship will cut a family member off on a whim. They just won't. Nobody's gonna impulsively break up a relationship that is core, systemic, and intrinsic to who they are. Because walking away from either a long-standing friendship or a deep partnership or marriage or a lifelong relationship with a family member, it's hard AF. It's so hard. It's not easy to walk away from these. And so people are not doing this impulsively or on a whim. And there is no therapist or life coach on TikTok who can make somebody walk away from a relationship that's actually healthy for them. Like, we don't have that power as influencers. There's no power to make somebody do anything. What might happen is someone on social media might shine a light on something that you haven't been wanting to see in your own life and in your own relationship. And it might make you more aware of how dysfunctional or how unhealthy your dynamic has been for a really long time. And the people who do end up cutting off a relationship most likely have gone through years or decades of so much suffering and so many attempts to repair that they feel they've tried everything and the cutting off is the actual last resort. So maybe we're seeing it more because of social media. Maybe we're talking about it more because it's not as taboo, it's not as in the shadow. But I certainly do not think that influencers on TikTok are making people cut family members off. I just don't. I just don't think that you want out if you're in a healthy relationship. And if you do want out, it means that there's something systemically wrong on such a deep level that it feels irreparable.
Now I can see why you said you die on this hill because that was the most passionate I've heard you when you said hard AF. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this Kate King?
Yeah, I am
That
really
is why
passionate.
she definitely would die on this hill.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of hills I would die on, but, like, I will go down saying that healthy relationships do not become estranged. They just don't.
No. And don't you think even I mean, if you just put this into anything, any person that's healthy in any area is not going to be easily influenced by anybody. No one's going to make you do anything. Like a social media influencer, there's gonna be something unhealthy in your psyche if you're going to be that influenced to
And
do
the
that.
beautiful thing too is if you're suffering, but you're also in denial and avoidance and resistance for years and years, and this relationship is chipping away at you slowly, if it's an influencer on TikTok who helps you see how much you're suffering, that's a good thing because ultimately that's moving you closer to health. It's not their fault that you then realize that this relationship is irreparable. It's to their credit that they helped you see a dysfunction that you were too disempowered or too broken down to see without them. We don't have control over how the light bulbs go off for us. And if
Right.
somebody's getting a light bulb moment from a TikTok video, then that's how it comes through. I don't know how it's supposed to come through for everyone. And for some people, maybe it's witnessing somebody else go through a friend breakup and suddenly they're like, gosh, maybe I should think about that for me and Judy and Sarah and these other people. Like we don't have control over the light bulb moments. And so I think that maybe social media having less of a filter around this taboo topic, it's just helping people have the light bulb moments that are really necessary for them to come back into alignment with their true self and their healthiest self.
And I think at that point, if you're in something like that and you pick up from it, whether it's social media post or TikTok, whatever, and you're like, now what do I do? Don't go to Chat GPT or a friend looking to help. Get some actual help. Read your book or do whatever so that you can take the proper next steps so you can work through it in a healthy way. And if you are going to walk away, or whether you choose to do the cold, to actually walk away like cold turkey, or say, which is what most people don't, I think we're in different places and it's not healthy for either of us. And to be okay with saying that maybe at another time. It's funny when my friend and I, when we were at I think it was when we went the next day, we were in the car talking. And I said, it's so funny. We were just in very different places. And early, like 2 years ago, when we would walk away, it was just like something just was off. And now I enjoy her energy where it wasn't before. And so again, I think like, why why are we so adverse to saying, I just think we're not probably most compatible right now. Maybe in another time, I value you. But we're so afraid to rock a boat, yet we're okay with just doing a cold turkey walk away and ghost people. You
And the
know?
truth is you can feel it. You can feel what's not being said in the energy. You can feel when someone doesn't really wanna hang out, or you can feel when the conversation is super one-sided and the vibes aren't strong. So, I just think it's best to be honest with yourself first, and then as soon as you honestly know what you need, to express it to the people who are in your life so that they know what's going on with you and they know what they've been feeling because 'cause they've probably been picking up on funky energy. And if you can help them put words to it, then you can create a graceful ending or exit to the relationship or a pause, or you can create a really meaningful entry into a new chapter together where they say, "Gosh, I didn't realize I was not reciprocating the effort that you've been giving, or I didn't realize I was draining you or that I was offending you. I'm going to work on that. Thank you for telling me." How could you ever expect someone to know that if you don't tell them? But
Exactly.
right, there's a lot of cultural undercurrents that perpetuate this sort of misunderstanding because we're so uncomfortable with discomfort in relationships. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to create drama, but we don't realize that we are rocking the boat and we are creating drama by not talking about the elephant in the room that everyone can feel.
So true.
Yeah.
So
And
true.
that also creates chaos in your nervous system because you're putting your nervous system into a fight or flight place where we're constantly getting messages of this doesn't feel good. I'm not safe. I don't feel like I can be myself. I don't feel like I can trust this person. And you're not honoring that because you keep showing up in this relationship when your nervous system is screaming not to.
Oh, yeah. This is why I will see people, and I have clients, I have friends like this that are in just horrible relationships where they're literally just existing through them. It's just a constant stress. I have one that she's like messaging me, not this is a friend, and she doesn't listen. So she's yeah, I'm like I don't feel good, and my body is just falling apart. And I said that just I said I'm not gonna say it again, but stress kills. And even if and a lot of people don't feel, quote, "feel the stress," in a romantic relationship where they're living with this person because it's the norm. That's their norm. So feeling like that, maybe they're having gut issues, it could be headaches, whatever it is. And again, this is affecting the epigenetics. You're turning up some pretty bad genes there and you're dialing down some really good ones by living in a state of constant stress because you don't want to have that elephant in the room, but neither of you are talking or you're going back and forth at each other and living in that constant environment
Yep.
is crushing,
Right.
crushing. Then you're going to see someone going to the functional medicine, doing thousands of dollars of tests looking for a root cause when the root cause is get the fuck out of the house. Like, let me just put that right. Get out of that situation and into something healthy or be by yourself. It's okay to be by yourself. There's a lot of people afraid to be alone, and it can be really one of the best gifts you're ever given to find you. And when you start to not feel that and people are just listening if you could see me. I'm twisting myself up like a screw, and that's because 'cause I've been in these relationships. How you feel, like all just twisted and knotted up like a pretzel. Like a pretzel stick, twisty pretzel stick. And it really can be a gift to see this and amazing how the body I just had somebody get out of a relationship tell me this, that they felt like the biggest release, like this thing off your back that's been so heavy that was your normal for how long? I don't know,
And
cut
it's
off.
incredible what human beings will adapt to.
Mm.
We can grow our threshold for discomfort and really just for dysfunction. We can grow that tolerance slowly over time to the point where we don't recognize it, and if someone on social media says, "Oh, maybe your gut is out of whack because you're in a toxic relationship," and it helps you see that you're in that relationship, thank you to them for helping you see that. And now what are you going to do? Right? Now you're at the mend or move on choice point and you get to decide, can this be repaired or is it time to walk away with respect and dignity? And that's what we're gonna explore in Mend or Move On, and I think by the end of the book, people will if they enter into the book confused, they will exit from the book with clarity. And if they enter into the book with clarity, they're gonna exit from the book feeling even more empowered to take whichever trajectory feels most aligned for them.
Love it. And we did our last podcast where I interviewed you before we started podcasting together. This is when we said, hey, we should meet, was on toxic relationships. And you had said in the beginning of or during that podcast that you were writing a book on this. It was going to be out in the fall. That was one of the reasons we did that podcast, was talking about that. So I would say we can put it in the show notes. So Liz, when you listen to this, put the podcast number in the show notes, that to go back and listen to that, because I think that's actually a really good primer for your book as well.
Great, thank
Somebody
you.
wants to get pumped up because you're waiting till January, and even though January is going to be here like tomorrow,
I
because I don't know where June and July and August went. So January 1's going to be here pretty freaking quickly. So I think that's like a nice little warm up to that. We'll get the number into the show notes, but otherwise you can go to everydayepigenetics.co, not .com, and you can scroll through. I want to say it was probably about February-ish of this year that it came out. It's the last one with Kate, and I think it was called something on toxic relationships. So you'd be able to easily find it just by scrolling through the podcast there. There's only
Yeah,
like
that's a
50.
great one. Yeah, that's a great one, and yeah, and if you wanna pre-order your copy of the book, you can get it anywhere where books are sold. It's on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, the Johns Hopkins website. Just plug in Mend or Move On, and it will take you to the pre-order page, and you can pre-order ebook or hardcover, paperback. There's all different price points for wherever you're at in terms of your finances, and then they'll drop on pub day, which is January 13th, and
Not Friday, right?
I think it's a Tuesday? I don't know. We'll see. I think it's a Tuesday. And you can also go to my website, which is theradiantlifeproject.com, and I will have links that'll take you to pre-order pages. And then in January, you'll be able to purchase direct from my website, and I can wrap it, mail it. I can write a little dedication to you. If you're sending this to your toxic mother, I can endorse a little recommendation for her. I don't know who might need to hear that right now. Yeah, so anyways, there's a lot of different places where you can order it. Also, feel free to follow me on socials. I'm at the Radiant Life Project on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I've got a YouTube channel, so I'm out there. And if you like this work, if it's important to you and you're in that discernment place for trying to just build healthy relationship and get rid of anything that's not, follow my page. I hope I can help. That's what I'm here for.
For our final episode of recording together, like I said, the people you're going to see ones after this that have both of us in there. But for our final recording here, ask your question one last time.
This time. All right, Susan, what are you doing today in this moment to cultivate your most radiant life through epigenetics?
I shouldn't have asked you that. I should have asked you first because I have to think on it. In this moment, I think just really, like I said, so many things have changed in my life with me, especially around my faith. And so I think it's really just sticking to these routines that I've created that have brought this peace in me, acceptance of me, come from a place of love instead of like anger. And especially over these last couple of weeks, there's so much hate out there. And I did like a 6-minute rant. You can look on my Facebook pages if you want to see that rant. I was like, I'm getting raw and real here, people. I just said there's just so much hate out there, and I don't want to be one of those people. And so, really, just trying to come from that place, start my day with meditation and prayer, end my day with meditation and prayer, making sure that that's the first thing I do in the morning before turning on the phone, and the last thing I do at night before going to sleep. And just really trying to bring in the right the right people with the right vibe, and just be my best self in showing up and coming from that area in me. And that's what the faith has done from me, like trying to just live in a more how would God look at me reacting to this? As opposed to, how does my activator want to react to this? Just really stopping and pausing, and it just brings so much more peace to my day. And it's really, I think, helped with a lot of relationship type things, and just being even more my authentic self.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. You, what are you doing today other than healing this reconstructed knee for,
Yeah.
to live your most radiant life?
I was gonna answer with a physical and a psycho-emotional. So, physically, I am just taking my time healing my knee. I'm 4 weeks post-op tomorrow, hobbling around on crutches, like, carrying my little backpack with me because I can't carry my own water bottle. It's like a whole thing. My husband has to shower with me, like, it's a whole thing. So, I'm really trying to be patient with my physical body, which as an activator is hard. And so, really trying to cultivate patience and grace for this process because I know I got my eye on the prize for a year from now when I'll be getting ready to ski and living that physical embodiment of my most radiant life, which includes plowing down moguls and hiking up mountains and chasing my kids around. And I need to do this patience time in order to get there. So, that's the physical piece. And the psycho emotional piece, I think honestly, Susan, this episode is really what I'm doing to take care of my radiant life epigenetically today because by making this transition away from our podcast, I'm realigning and I'm becoming even more authentic. I am pivoting into alignment, which is what I always teach. And I walk this talk, and this is the embodiment of it. And I'm so grateful that you and I still have a beautiful friendship and we will work together in other capacities. I will continue to recommend you highly to people who want to do this work. I will share this podcast. I feel so aligned in being able to love and support this podcast and also with that love say goodbye. So I think that's how I'm handling this from a head and a heart place.
I didn't get emotional. And I said to Kate in the beginning, I said, I'm probably going to get emotional. And it's not emotional over anything bad. And I said before we started recording, I said, we're all where we're supposed to be. And even when I recorded the podcast by myself last week with Steven, it felt great. I felt just really fully aligned with who I am, where I was, and but it's just a different chapter. And this year has seemed so many freaking chapters kept opening and then closing. But every one of them, it was exactly the way it was supposed to happen. So the emotional part I have, I guess right now is what's an ending, but a beginning or a continuation. I don't know. And I'm so grateful for you having joined me for the past 6 months because this is my baby. You talk about your book, right? This is my labor of love that I created. And so it wasn't easy to have somebody come in, but it taught me you taught me a lot about working with somebody else because I've been doing this on my own for so long. And I really learned a lot about myself through doing this and about you. And I'm just very thankful for the the relationship professionally, personally, and I think for maybe some of the emotions coming from I'm just super proud of what we put out there.
Yeah.
And I think we put out and over the next couple of months also, you'll see just it was an evolution with us. You could see times where we're just like trying to find our way, but I think we did find a groove. And I think that was pretty evident and created a nice flow and welcomed people on our show with a lot of poise and grace and energy and really just put out good content. And that means so much to me. And I'm so grateful that you were a part of that for the past 6 months. And I wish you only the best. I'll see you again. Say it here publicly. I wish you the best in your venture with this new book, which I know is going to take off and be fabulous. And we just need to keep you coming on and interviewing you at least a couple times a year because you did have two of my highest rated
I
podcasts
was
last
gonna
year. People
say,
need want and
like,
need more, especially around relationships
yeah.
because they're so freaking inept with how to communicate and how to deal with relationships.
Yeah.
So it's a topic, they're different topics. We can come from different places, but I'm just so very grateful. And that's where all the emotion comes from. So many different emotions.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You. I'm grateful too. And truly, if in the future you want to do a little mini series or you want to have me co host if you have a specific guest on that you think would really benefit from having us both there, I am here. We love each other. So let's keep this strong and connected. And I'll keep listening to the podcast and I'll always keep recommending it because it really is an amazing show.
thank you. That means a lot. And Sam M is popping in to say goodbye as well.
Well, all
For
right,
now.
everyone. Thank you for listening to our podcast. And I just want to say one more message to the audience. Thanks for welcoming me on to what was originally Susan's podcast and again will become Susan's podcast. Thank you for the warm welcome and the embrace while I was here and stay in touch with me. I have really enjoyed getting to know you and speaking to you and interviewing these people so you could hear them. Reach out to me, connect with me. I'm still here for you.
And all her info will still be in the show notes, and it will continue to be in the show notes of all the ones that we're still doing together. Like we said, this is just it's a warm up to her final hurrah, but this is just with us so that it's not a drop going, oh, just so you know, Kate's not here anymore. And I just did not want to do it that way. We initially thought about doing this as a final podcast. And I just didn't feel that was the best way to do it. I think this worked out really well to give the farewell. Okay, so everything will be in the show notes on how to contact Kate. If you looking for anything epigenetic testing, coaching to help be your most authentic self, healthy wise, reach out to me. But thank you so much for joining us over these past few months with the two of us together. And I'm so grateful for all the support that we get from you guys. So thank you so much. Get out there, make it a great day. Be your most authentic self. Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, we'd love for you to share it, leave a review or comment, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Help us get this information out to everyone who could benefit, and we'll keep bringing you the content you crave.
You can also check out our podcast site at everydayepigenetics.co and sign up for our newsletter to stay updated on upcoming episodes. The link is in the show notes.
If you're interested in DNA or epigenetic coaching with Susan, or Radiant Life Coaching for deep inner work with Kate, our contact info is in the show notes below.
Now go and make it a great day and let your most authentic self shine.